Thank you. Governor, in best case scenario, I heard the ranking member talk about imagine a technology. Best case scenario probably is natural gas. What kind of time frame are we talking about for a fundamental infrastructure, particularly for the West?
Well, I think they're well on their way. I mean, there's been a number of companies that have embraced natural gas. I mean, we've seen it in our municipal bus fleets. There's a lot of that being deployed in the refuge industry. Anybody that's working in and around sort of a confined metro area that can establish fueling stations and runs essentially an in-and-out kind of operation. I start out dispatched in the morning to go do a mission. When I'm done, I go back to my home base and I have a fueling opportunity there. I mean, I think, you know, in my vision, again, you'd have to still build a viable business model, but someday as you take metropolitan areas like the Los Angeleses and the Phoenix and the Salt Lakes and the Denver, as those natural gas fueling stations begin to build out, eventually we'll be in a position for a long-haul vehicle to leave one of those locations, travel across to the other one, and be confident there's fuel available when they get there. How long will that take? I don't know. That may depend in large part on the decisions that you all make about the government support for building out that kind of infrastructure, because it's going to be very expensive.
But wouldn't you say the West is kind of the stepchild to the East in regards to that?
Well, I mean, I think, again, the major parcel companies are all starting to look at natural gas for metropolitan deliveries, and it's even happening on the East Coast as we speak. Again, everybody's watching their bottom line, but I think everybody recognizes that and Mr. Pickens has done a great job of promoting, and more power to him, that it is an optional fuel for our industry in the future.
I agree. But it's more metropolitan, and I mean, Arizona had one of these debacles with natural gas. I mean, it cost the state well in excess of $2 billion in incentives, and wasn't probably real thought out real well. And particularly with the vast rural areas in rural Western America, makes it almost cost prohibitive and more anti-competitive, would you not say?
At the moment, it is cost prohibitive.
And would you say it's probably at least a decade away?
I would guess that if in my lifetime I see a deployment of a lot of natural gas commercial vehicles, that would be marvelous.
Wonderful. Ms. Harbert, competition is really the basis of economics, right? And once you have monopolies, we have big problems. With what we're seeing with this technology, or actually lack of technology, to be honest with you, particularly out in the West, and we have lots of independent truckers, the profit margins on the independents are closer to 2 to 3%. So when we're talking about trying to push higher gas prices and looking at energy alternatives, we're actually predisposing a monopoly, are we not?
Well, I think we're also predisposing higher prices. And in today's economy, that's a big problem for small, medium-sized businesses and American families. What we need to be doing is looking at the whole set of resources and ensuring that there's the most options on the table so the consumer has some choice, the efficiency of the market works, and we deliver maximum product to our advantage. So we do also need to invest in technologies. The reason we need to invest in technologies, though, is not to force them into the marketplace. It's to bring down the cost so that they can more effectively compete in the marketplace. So I think we're all pro-technology. I think it's a way to actually invest in technology. The purpose is to bring down the cost over time so that we can effectively compete in the marketplace and have more options, not fewer.
And so I'm getting to that technology incentive. So a lot of it's done through tax breaks, is it not?
In many different industries, I think it is.
Because that's the only way you're going to get people to go into those areas. I mean, I'm a dentist, so we're techie savvy, and you've got to have the new toy. And, the only difference between men and boys are the price of their toys. But it
depends. I mean, you can't subsidize anything forever. We can't afford it. So for early market makers and new emerging technologies, do they need an incentive to actually get out into the marketplace? Yes, and perhaps. But do we and can we afford to subsidize those forever? And the answer is no. So we have to push those things to be more efficient and cost effective.
In the current environment, do you see us picking and choosing which are winners and losers in the energy industry?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I yield back the balance of my time.